guys, Jason here from Off the Beaten Path. Just doing a bit of tidy up after a recent trip to Tallarook, and notably putting the Maxtrax there back on the roof. Now they did get a little bit of use. You probably haven't seen that video yet. Let me show you. So frankly, after the trip to Tallarook, I just threw these things in the back seat of the car because I was too wrecked after carting them up and down the hill to climb up on the roof and put them back on the roof. As you can see, a little bit of rubber left there from where we were trying to get Matt's troopy up that last obstacle on Flat Rock Track at Tallarook. So yeah, look, I've had these Maxtrax 3 years. They haven't seen heaps of use, but they've come in handy a few times. Unfortunately, that particular time still didn't get us enough traction to get him up. I mean, Matt would have got up there, but his winch was not working properly. And there they are, back on the runner rack, ready for the next time they're needed. Have to say, quite like the Maxtrax pins. They can be a little tight, but they do lock the Maxtrax in really well. Nice and safe and stable. So there's the paper towel, and look, I've looked at a few options. In the end, I've bought this cheap 5 kilo rated picture hanging rail wire, just for some basic clips. There's not a lot of weight in the paper towel, so I'm hoping this works, and anchored into the plastic it does a reasonable enough job. So let's see how we go. So to start with, guys, I've just marked with a pencil 8 centimeters to the left and 8 centimeters to the right of the reversing light on the door. Let's see how this goes. I tried to record this while I was doing it, but it doesn't seem to have worked. So as I was saying, this is just some really cheap picture framing wire. I've just screwed those in 8 centimeters either side, twisted that wire on by hand, and we've got a paper towel dispenser there on the back door of the Pajero, right and ready for when the kitchen slides out. So we'll see how that goes over time, whether these little screws into the plastic actually hold up. But as I said, bought this kit for about $4 at Bunnings. So we'll see how it goes. I'll let you know. Now, one of the things that I have noticed is already we're getting some wear marks there from the hinges on the back of this cooktop. So I've got some of this. Now this stuff is just 6mm self-adhesive rubber foam. Bought a big sheet of it from Bunnings for like $10. So we're just going to put some of that straight on there. And we've got one for the other side as well. Just to reduce damage, and that'll help set it in nice and snug. There is a bit of room between the handle and the front there, as you can see, but yeah, usually I have this wood bag sitting on top here, which clamps down with a bit of force and helps to hold that in place. So that paper towel mod needs a bit of adjusting with how the kitchen works, but getting there. Overall, haven't fully road tested it yet, but pretty happy with it. Having a look at the rock sliders. As you guys know, they haven't been on that long. They've definitely had a workout at Tallarook and done their job. That's the driver's side one we're looking at there. So it's definitely been saving the door sills. Let's have a look at the other side. Once again, a couple of trips with the rock sliders on, and yeah, they're already earning their keep. I've no idea what that is stuck to the front mudguard. Looks like fun to get off. But yeah, no, pretty happy with the the Bushskinz rock sliders, side steps. I think they're been a good investment, and yeah, really happy with them. So just doing a bit of prep work for some upcoming trips. So yeah, set the Drifta Supapeg 270 awning up because I haven't had that set up for a while. So just, you know, wanted to set it up here at home and make sure there were no issues. Creates a really nice cooking space here with the kitchen now. You're in under here and you're fully undercover. Really happy with that. That's a very quick mod that I did, so I've got some paper towel here to use when I'm using the kitchen. Yeah, fridge is obviously right here, so yeah, really happy with how this setup's come together. You got good shelter from the wind and everything in under here. So just going over a few things on the car. Let me talk about this awning and the awning install. So I ordered this and installed this myself. Never installed an awning before, and it has been moved since I first installed it. As you can see there, the awning sits forward of the rhino rack by, you know, probably about 20-30 centimeters. Now, when I first installed it, I actually mounted it flush, pretty much, but the problem with that was this hinge point here was actually too far back, and this flap here that serves as a bit of a weather seal on your back area was actually forward of the rear door area here. So it was forward, was this way. So if I set this up in the rain, water actually got down. Now it didn't tend to go inside the car, but you did get water down through here. So that's something I did relatively recently, was just move that forward so that this hinge point here is closer to where the back corner of the car is. Now you guys probably all know this kind of thing, but I was pretty green when I installed this, so it's good to have it set up and installed correctly. Not least, I'll talk about these shovel mounts. Now again, originally I had the rhino rack mounts that have a round fixed rubber sleeve that you slide the shovel or whatever you're mounting up here into, and then you screw down and it clamps on. Now the good thing about that was it didn't allow the shovel to turn really at all. The bad thing was the way that mounted back to the rack, there was vibration and it drove me nuts. So I got these rubber mounts and brackets from Kaon, and by and large I've been really happy with them. Again, this is something that you live and learn. I've mounted this further back than I should have, because what tends to happen is the front of the shovel goes around and vibrates on the rack. It's easy enough to fix. I just put the driver's side window down and turn that back. But that's probably my only dislike with these mounts, is that they do allow things to turn. Now that wouldn't be an issue if I just actually move those, which I'll probably do, not today. Just move those forward so that the shovel could actually sit all the way further forward. In terms of use, they're really easy to do up and undo. The only thing I will say is I am on my second pair of these. The first pair I had after about 12 months actually tore through just up here on this corner. So you can see there, yeah, there's a bit of force there. I maybe do these up tighter than you're supposed to, I'm not really sure. But just on that corner there, they tore through. So yeah, but they do a really good job holding it, and yeah, on the whole, really happy with them. Okay, back here doing a little bit more maintenance work on the Pajero, and let me show you one of the things I really love about this Raslarr Rear bar that I've got. Now, as you can see, as usual, the back corners had a little bit of a hard life. So now, over there as well, we'll probably come back to that side. Maybe, I don't know if we're tackling that one today, but you can see this back corner here in particular. Yeah, a little bit of surface rust, and some of the paint's rubbed off from some recent trips. So we're going to solve that problem. So a little bit of love with the sandpaper, just taking that surface rust off, and now we'll hit it with the primer. Possibly a little more coverage with the primer than was really needed, but we'll let that dry now. And then I've got some matching paint already mixed up in a spray can, and it'll be just like new. So I finally bit the bullet and bought a pair of ramps. They don't lift the car up that much, but just enough. So the reason for this is, after getting it serviced, went for a quick test drive, just a couple of hours off-road, and to actually test the rear springs and see how it handled with the new heavier duty rear springs in. And by the time I got home, after literally only 3 or 4 hours off-road, there was a banging noise and a couple of loose bolts in the bash plate. So once again, mechanics haven't actually put the bash plate back on correctly. So I'm actually gonna check these regularly from now on, because it's not the first time that I've had issues with bolts on the bash plates. My old mechanic used to put them all in with Loctite, so that's what I'm gonna do. I got some Loctite here, and hopefully that'll mean these suckers stay in. Get under here and have a look yourself. Isn't it interesting, the things you find? That bolt holding the bash plate there for the sump in is basically stripped off, and they've just put a much smaller one in next door to it. So not sure how we're going to go addressing that one today, but yeah, we'll get some Loctite maybe on this one and this one over here. So yeah, for those that don't know, these are the Bushskinz bash plates, and they do have a hole in them just there where you can access the drain plug, so you can actually still access and change the oil without having to take these off. So yeah, let's see how we go. And there it is, as you can see. That's another little gem. That bolt is actually broken off in there. So yeah, that's a bit special. That one will need to be drilled out or something at some point, but let's do what we can with this. Brilliant. No idea how much of this stuff to use. That's probably too much. Hopefully when it comes time to remove this again, the mechanics don't snap this one off because I put Loctite on it. Let's do this guy over here first. It's just very little of the thread of these seems to be grabbing. I could be wrong about that. Something tells me that is not one of the factory bolts that came with this thing, and it could well do with a washer. Let's see. So again, these two screws at the back here are basically the only things substantially holding this in, and they're pretty small screws. Basically some tech screws or something the mechanics dug up. So yeah, loving that knot. So really I think this needs some proper high tensile bolts. I've no idea what happened to the bolts that came with the bash plates, because I very much doubt that these ones are the ones Kieran supplied. But clearly something's happened with those along the way, between it going to the Mitsubishi dealer for the warranty on the transfer case and going to my mechanic. And I've recently changed mechanics because border issues, living on the border. So I live in Albury and my mechanic was in Wodonga, which he used to be right next door to my office, which was great. But I now have an office in Albury. Hello. Right, let's get this one done up and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I don't know if they're partially stripped or what the story is, but seems like they're pulling through and then letting go. So we might just do them up to there. That's not going to vibrate. As you can see, these bash plates have been earning their keep. This one looks pretty solid. That's got a good couple of bolts on the end of it, so that's boding well. All right, let's see how that goes. Hopefully that Loctite does its job. Hey everyone, so I'm just in the office here editing this video, and I thought I'd jump in. So the video you've just watched ended with the bash plates, and I did a temporary fix with the existing screws. There's a whole lot more to that bash plate saga than you've seen so far. More recently, I actually had, after getting the temperature gauge installed, where they had to remove the bash plate to get the sensor down into the transmission, I actually had one of the bash plates come completely off the vehicle while driving on a sealed road. And I hadn't been off-road at all since they'd reattached the bash plate. So I've subsequently gone through and actually retapped all the threads and put M8 bolts in, because some of the bolts vibrated out when the plate came off, and others actually I think just got stripped or got the heads broken off in situ, or just the weight of the bash plate, because it was the biggest main bash plate that sits in under there. Just actually pulled free and stripped the M6 holes that were in there. But anyway, look, I will do a video on that. If people are interested, they can see me and my very average mechanical skills trying to go in and put thread tappings in. I must say the thread tappers work really well. So I think I've got the problem solved for now. But that was pretty freaky. But look, as always, everybody, thanks for watching the videos. Shout out to everybody who's been subscribing to the channel. Really appreciate it. Look forward to bringing you some more trip videos after this one. A couple more coming up. There'll be some shorter trips. I've got a short trip through the Grampians. Actually had my mum on board for that one. And then I've still got a really cool trip that I did in January with Bruce and his 200 series to edit and put together. That's probably a couple of videos. We took in Blue Rag, Billy Goats, Mount Wellington, Wanagata, Humphrey River Track, just to name a few that I can think of. So it was a really good trip, a couple of days. Look forward to bringing that to you as well. Not as much external footage on that as I would have liked, because my cameraman, aka my wife, didn't come on that trip. Definitely something that we're trying to do to bring more of that externally shot footage to the channel as well. So yeah, as always, thanks for watching. Like this video if you liked it. Thanks to everybody who's subscribing to the channel. Really appreciate it. We're approaching 500 subs now, which is just awesome. And see you in the next one.